Good morning, afternoon, or night, fellow listeners, and welcome to The Breakdown. Here, I'll be going over some potential counterarguments that I came up with for my MMRP college English assignment. But before I jump into this, I just want to let you guys know that I made these answers up, so none of them have any sources. These are just my personal ideas in case I was ever asked on the street about why I was building this green space and potential problems that could arise from building this green space. Finally, feel free to leave your own counters in the comments below. And with that being said, let's jump in. One idea I had for the park was to have a camera installed. However, problems with that would be the camera might be able to see into people's houses. Seeing how people would object to that, and then by extension object to the park itself, I decided to come up with a few ideas to make sure that the cameras, if installed, only see what's in the park. Luckily for me and where I live in row homes, there are no windows on the sides of the houses, so none of the immediate neighbors left or right have to worry about being spied on, essentially. However, the people in the back might. Luckily for them, the tree is in the way, and the tree should prevent the camera from being able to see inside. The only problem with that is that it leaves a dead zone behind the tree, where any crime or mischief could take place behind the tree and go unrecorded. Another potential counter I came up with would be, what if the trees affect the power lines or underground piping? For that, I'd say due to the fact that our endeavor is a donation and volunteer work type of organization, we'll have to build around obstacles like underground pipes and power lines, simply because we don't have the time, resources, or funds to move those things out of our way. So we'll simply have to move out of theirs. A third concern was lightning strikes. Lightning is known to hit trees, although lightning strikes, and even more so lightning hitting trees, is quite rare. If everything goes according to plan and sufficient time has passed, all the abandoned homes in my city should be replaced with parks that all have at least one tree. Due to the fact that there will be much more trees in the city itself, the chances of a tree getting hit with lightning will increase. To counter that, a lightning rod could be installed. The only problem with that is they'll have to do it out of their own pocket or using their own fundraisers and donations in order to get the funding needed to construct that tower. I guess those with cameras could also have a lightning rod installed there, one that would just send it straight from the top to ground and not affect the cameras too badly. I probably should have put this first, but costs. How are we going to pay for tearing down the house? How are we going to pay for fixing up the lot? How are we going to pay for installing these trees, all the soil, the grass? My plan was to have this be a donation and volunteer type of service. So we would have to raise money, usually through fundraisers, and receive items through donations. I'm confident that I could find willing donators for trees, for park benches, for trash can and recycle bins, and for hedges, possibly even fences for fencing. And they'll all be eco-friendly and green, since a lot of paid for for-profit organizations items usually aren't. The ones coming from donations are more likely to be better for the environment and better for our wallet anyway. Moving on to deconstructing the house itself. How will that be paid for? Well, that's actually going to require money. For that, we would need fundraisers and donations. A GoFundMe, a lemonade stand, anything we can really think of to raise enough money and be able to pay the people necessary to deconstruct that structure and get it out of the way so that we can continue on with our plan. Littering. Another major problem that usually happens in neighborhoods like mine that don't have the luxury that a place like University City has. University City has maintenance workers that actually are able to go around and pick up trash off the street. Sadly, where my home is at, I'll need essentially volunteer work. People to just at some point go outside and just pick up trash. As far as the parks are concerned, people leaving trash should be mitigated because, as I've seen, if you do place a trash can and recycle bin nearby, people are likely to just throw their trash into there instead of just directly onto the floor. So having a visible, obvious trash can and recycling bin probably at the front of the park's entrance should encourage people to throw their trash and recyclables into there instead of onto the ground. Finally, the biggest counter I was able to come up with, aside from lightning strikes. What if the immediate neighbors next to the park don't want the park there? Well, that's where my paper comes in. My paper is there to enlighten them to the hazards of living next to an abandoned house and the problems of living next to an abandoned house as well. I make the distinction between hazards and problems because I categorize hazards as pests, mold. If the house was built before 1978, it's probably been painted using lead-laden paint, which is dangerous. And problems are categorized as lower property values for immediate homes and generally the area itself. My paper will also be there to enlighten them on the benefits of having a park. Cleaner air, less litter on the streets, since the trash can and recycle bin that will be provided will entice people to throw their trash there instead of onto the ground. And a nice, inviting place for students, parents, and children alike to all meet or stay alone and hang out. Having a park can also promote communal behaviors, or at least it should promote communal behaviors. Getting everybody outside and interacting with each other, and getting everybody outside to inadvertently keep watch over their neighborhood. With parents and young children outside, wrongdoers will be less likely to commit any crimes due to too many witnesses. And if we're lucky, their own moral compass would see small children around and go, I probably shouldn't do this. There are children nearby. That concludes my counter arguments. Breakdown over. Take care, y'all. Stay safe. Stay kind.